Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Elsa. I am a yoga teacher and also a clinical psychologist. And I feel like a YouTuber right now because this is the second time I'm trying to record this video. I want to share with you my um, pretty horrible therapy experience recently and also give you some practical tips and advice what to look for and what to watch out while navigating the therapy world. So, as a clinical psychologist, I am now a practicing therapist. I mean, every country has its own labels. I cannot call myself psychotherapist in Russia, but pretty much this is what we do, psychological consulting without giving some diagnosis and without prescribing meds. And in order to become a therapist, of course, I had to go through many hours of my own therapy. And I am a testimony that therapy can change lives, bring back the desire to live, and so on and so forth. But um, once you kind of concluded the therapy and all the traumas were worked on and all the beliefs were like not necessarily corrected, but put in a place that you are happy with, you don't really need to go on and continue therapy unless you have a desire to, unless you have some request. So for several months, I took a break from therapy because I'm like, I'm cool, I'm chill. And recently, I was feeling a bit down, and I was on a mission to find myself a new therapist in order to work through um, some things. I didn't want to come back to my old therapist because we had some worldview disagreements. I noticed that she was projecting some of her own beliefs on me, and I didn't like that. And also, like, she was very expensive. And so I'm like, I'll try something else. And last Saturday, I had a session with a lady that is like, she's an author of several books. She's also a supervisor, and like, she's like 50 something years old. She has a daughter of my age. And I chose her because she was polite and professional when I was like texting her trying to book an appointment. And she did a pretty good job in order, like, we dig some deep issues. She did a little hypnosis on me. Like, in one way, I was feeling good, but also she messed me up so much. Like, she tried to. I mean, one day I felt horrible, and then I felt fine because I'm a therapist myself. I have my own practices, plus I'm a meditator and a meditation teacher, so I kind of put myself back up. But she showed me that I'm actually a good therapist, and that no matter how many degrees you have, no matter what's like your price tag for the session, you can still be a shitty therapist. Because so we scheduled a session on Zoom, and this was our first session. And first couple of minutes, she was just talking about herself, like, I'm that years old, I'm married, I have 2 kids, blah 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 blah. I was like, dude, if I want to, I will just read about it in your bio, right? Like, you don't have to tell me this, but okay. And so the session was on Zoom, and I'm always on time, so I opened the conference like 2 minutes in advance, and I was just adjusting the camera. I was wearing one sweatshirt, but then I thought I'd be too hot during 1 hour in the sweatshirt, so I removed it, I changed, and I didn't know if she's like watching me or doesn't watch me. I didn't really care because as long as it's not time for therapy, like, it's none of her business and it's none of my business, to think anything. I mean, I wasn't naked. It's just like therapists should not observe you and should not judge you outside of therapeutical sessions, at least the first couple sessions, you know. Um, and then like when we were talking, like I shared a little bit of my like trauma and like, yeah, I froze in this age and like blah 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 blah. And in the end of the session, that bitch, I don't know how else to say, allowed herself to share her opinion that she thinks that I look actually not like a person of my age supposed to look like, because she has a daughter of my age and like she understands how people of my age supposed to act and look. But the fact that I'm wearing a Barbie sweatshirt shows that I'm actually just like this little girl, whatever, whatever. And I was like, bitch, what the fuck? I mean, first of all, I wasn't wearing that sweatshirt during the session. It was only before the session. So she had no business. But like, like therapy, why we pay for therapy? Let's start with that. Therapy provides us safe, non-judgmental, empathetic place where the person is 100% invested in you and in your well-being and in your result. And this person makes you feel, supposed to make you feel accepted, validated, and good as you are, valued as you are, you know. And then of course, as therapists, we do make some notes, you know. We share some impressions with our supervisors, like, but you do not diagnose a person like that. And especially like, do you understand how like it made me feel unsafe immediately? Like, so I was being watched and I was being judged even before the therapy started. And so this is like one of the biggest red flags that you can ever like come across, is that if the therapist, without you asking, you know, without it being even like appropriate, starts judging you based on, I don't know, your profile picture. It's one thing, you know, to ask like, oh, why did you choose this profile picture? Tell me about it, right? And then it's another thing to say, I think you chose that because this validates your trauma of that. And so this is where we're going to work at. No. Or if the therapist, like, you know, goes through your social media and like out of nowhere just brings up her opinion about something that you didn't tell or you didn't show this person, this is like a no. This is such a I forgot this word of your personal boundaries, and like this is the opposite of making a person feel safe. So she basically told me that, yeah, like I dress childish and I look childish, and you have to work with your like family tree. I'm like, bitch, I don't want to work with my family tree. I have a problem like here and now. I understand that it comes from like this and this and that issue. Because she also had like a different rate for practicing therapist, for consultation, and for normal people. So like normal people require a bit more work, and therapists are usually well more self-aware. They just need help to like, you know, open a few locked doors in the psyche. And so I'm like, bitch, I need to work with this and that, and you telling me I have to now disturb my mother and my father and ask about their parents, which I know it's not like it's their trauma to like to untangle. I don't want to re-traumatize myself and re-traumatize them, but you say that I have to do that because I am now frozen like a little girl. It's just, it's ridiculous. I was like, ah. Of course, in the moment I couldn't say all of that, because my basic response, thanks to my childhood trauma, also is freeze. It's fight, flight, or fight, flight, and freeze. And so like I froze and I was just like, yeah, okay, thank you, cool. And after the session, it was my first night in many months that I couldn't sleep well. Usually I sleep like a baby peacefully, like I'm out. And that's thanks to therapy and working on myself also, because before I was a very anxious sleeper. But that night I was like, I had so many thoughts in my head and I felt so uncomfortable and like so judged out of nowhere. And I'm like, rah, I don't know. I felt like shit. And so the next day I analyzed what happened, how I felt, and I just texted her like, yeah, no, I will not continue working with you. Um, so this is the example of how even a good accredited therapist can actually fuck you up. Because also we dig pretty deeply in that session. And usually if you work with trauma, because actually like one of my specialties is like deep trauma and stuff, if you decide that with your client today you want to use some hypnotherapy practices and you want to try to like dive into the trauma, and if this dive is successful, last thing you do is to actually decide to bring back some other shit or decide to like make your own conclusions, because basically you're like your conscious, then you open your subconscious, and then you have to give yourself time in order to like marry conscious and subconscious, and the client's supposed to like make their own conclusions, make their own results, thoughts, and it takes like a few days in order to like peacefully come out of this trance and to proceed with your normal life, but with the insights that you get from the trance. I'm sorry. Come on. Yeah, and so we actually like did a pretty deep dive, and then I was coming out of it. I was like pretty vulnerable. I felt good. Like, yeah, we like managed the emotions in a moment. But then in that state, you're extremely vulnerable. So the last thing you want to do is to say anything extra, anything that can trigger an extremely vulnerable person in this moment. And this lady was not only talking about herself, not only telling me that like, oh, she has a daughter of my age, and so her daughter is that and I'm that, um, but also, yeah, she had the audacity to tell me that she was watching me before our sessions. She read like the Barbie on my sweatshirt, and so she decided that, I don't know what the hell she decided. This thing she has to address to her supervisor after working with the client, and then decide on the next session how to work with the observation she made. She cannot just drop her like, judgmental look and her thoughts on me after the hypnosis. So I'm so thankful I am like very self-aware person who can understand all of that, and who has like the meditative practices, other things like journaling, and then just a lot of like self-reflecting to understand what happened and to build myself back up pretty much. And I always thought that this saying like therapy is like dating is just a BetterHelp pitch to save themselves from just providing you shitty therapist after shitty therapist, because therapy is like dating, right? You have to waste your money and maybe in a month or two we will give you someone decent. But no, actually shitty therapy exists, and you can get a very bad experience even from a very well accredited and respected therapist. If that ever happened to you, I am very sorry. I want to give you a mental hug because this is really disgusting. I hope you had strength and also funds to build yourself back up. And this is also like a reminder that therapy is very different, and that if you had one bad experience, just like dating, it doesn't mean everyone is shitty. And yeah, it goes several ways. Like, you can just get a shitty therapist, right? And like the red flags are all around, and you're like, damn, I need to walk away, right? Or the therapist can actually be pretty okay, right? And doing their job okay. And other people saying that this therapist is good. But if you feel like shit talking to this person and like working with this person, don't waste your money on this person. Maybe it's not you, maybe it's the therapist actually. Because it's so important to find the person you vibe with. It's so important to find a person that tries to understand you, doesn't just like, oh, I'm, I don't know, she just started playing my mother or something. This was disgusting. But good thing, first of all, I this therapy validated me as a therapist, showing me that I actually do a pretty good job, because I don't do shit like that she did in therapy. And also because I managed to pick myself up from this comments and this experience, I'm like, I'm doing better than I thought. Actually, like, no, I'm fine, I'm good. um Thank you, bye. But yeah, I never thought this kind of experiences are possible. I never thought a therapist can actually do harm. But see, you always learn something new. That was my story for today. Again, please, if you feel like you have some therapy request, you feel like there are some issues in your life, or like in your thinking or in your beliefs, that you cannot just untangle or change yourself, therapy is a great tool. I wouldn't become a therapist if therapy wouldn't save my life before that, you know? But also, please don't feel discouraged if you don't like a therapist or two that you come across. Um, Understand, I guess, that everyone is human. Not every professional is actually a professional. And just, yeah, keep on going, keep on looking. If you want to work with me, you can work with me. But yeah, even therapists can get themselves bad therapists, you know, and we are supposed to know, right? So yeah, that was my story. um, I hope you found it entertaining, or I hope it did not resonate with you. But if you had any negative experiences with therapists, you can let me know down in the comments. And yeah, thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day. Take care of yourself. Bye.